Hi everyone, it's me again, your favorite Brent from Connect Security. Thank you for joining us this morning. And today we're going to be looking at our part two of our three-part series for our 6000 webinar. And today we're going to be looking at the programming and configuration of the system. And we're going to have a little exercise that we're going to follow through, and hopefully you can follow along with me and learn something. So yeah, as already mentioned, we previously had the product overview last week. Today we're going to be looking at programming and configuration, and then next week we're going to be looking at solution link and the IFOB app setup. So if that's something that you think you'll be interested in, just keep an eye out for the link and the team or register once you're ready to go. So let's just go over the basics. So what I've got here is I've got a 6000 on my desk with a keypad and a reader, and we're going to be programming a few things, but we'll go over the CodePad layout to begin with. So if you're all familiar with the 6000 keypads, you can see there's a green LED, which is your indicator if the system is ready to arm, or if it's flashing, that means that there's a zone faulted. If it's red and green, that means you're in installer mode. If the red LED is on, that means the system is on or in part mode. And if it's flashing, that means that there's been a previous activation. Code and menu will take you into installer programming or into programming for master users. And then you also have your navigation left, right, up and down, which will help you to navigate through your programming menu structure. Code it on, that will turn the system on. But if you have multiple areas and you want to do a global arm for all of the areas that you allocated to, if you enter your code and push and hold down the on button for 2 seconds, that will do a global arm. And the same thing applies for disarming. Code and part mode, or also known as stay mode. If you go code and part mode, that would arm it in stay mode. And OK is obviously to acknowledge something or to save. So we also have the power indicator. So if the power indicator is on, that means that we have AC connected to the system. If it's flashing, we have an AC fail. The fire indicator, alarm or a little bell or the faults, that means that there's been a fire, medical or a fault on the system. The little A or K hand symbol, that means the system is ready. The little part mode, the little man in the house, that means it's armed in part mode. And then obviously the lock and the unlock would mean if the system is armed or disarmed. So let's quickly look at the programming structure. So on the left-hand side of all of these menus, we have commands, access, areas, inputs, outputs, comms, devices, and system, and then a whole bunch of sub-menus, which kind of corresponds with what you want to program. But on the left-hand side, you have these funny little UMIs, AUMIs, and what that means is A is for all users can access that function. U means user pin has access to that function. M means master pin, and I means installer pin. So if you need to know who has access to those menus, that's just a quick and easy overview of what we're looking at. And for the keypad programming, how you enter installer mode is you enter your installer code 1, 2, 3, 4 and menu, and that will take you into your installer mode. And you can use, as I've already mentioned, the up, down, left, right to navigate through the menu structure, or you can go directly to that menu address by entering like for example, we've got over here 130. So if you push 1, that'll take us into access. 3 will take us to RF key fobs, and 0 will say add key fob, and then you can select your user and add your key fob. So pressing the off key will clear the field for the cursor. So if you programming names or descriptions for areas or users or whatever, instead of individually selecting that individual character and making it a blank space, you can just hit the off button and that will clear the whole string for you. If you need any special characters, you can use the up and down arrow for your 0s to 9s and @ symbols and exclamations and hashes. That can be quite useful because a lot of SSIDs for connecting to Wi-Fi, which we could do with the Wi-Fi keypad, includes a lot of those funny characters. So unfortunately, that's the only way to do it. Cool. So out of the box, there are some default faults that we'll have to clear first. So if you don't change the master code or the installer code, it's actually going to bring up a fault and say, hey, these codes are still your default codes. You probably want to change them. Same as most other systems, you have to set the time and dates. And out of the box with the 6000, it tries to dial out to a monitoring company already. So if you're not using your dialer or you're monitoring through your phone line, you want to turn off your dialer and your telephone line monitoring, or it's going to bring up that fault also. And you got to set your date and time in menu 710. It's quick and easy to set your date and time, but this also has the ability to set up your daylight savings. So in menu 712, it'll allow you to set up your on and off times for your daylight savings. So let's have a little look at the exercise that we're going to be doing today. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to have a pretty typical installation with a couple areas. We're going to allocate those detectors to the areas and also allocate the users to the areas. And we're going to have a front door that we're going to set up an access door on as well. So we're going to have an office and a warehouse and a common entry. And if you don't know what a common entry is already, it's basically an entry that will follow the two areas. So for example, we have an office in the warehouse. So if everyone leaves for the day and the office is armed and the warehouse is armed, it's going to turn on the entry common area. So what we're going to be doing is setting up some users, areas, and zones. So we're going to set up a master user. For example, Vicky, she's the general manager, so she's going to have access to all of your areas. Tammy is going to be allocated to the office and JT to the warehouse. And then we're going to assign some zones to the appropriate areas. So we got one for our entry detector, one office 1 and office 2 for our office areas, and warehouse 1, 2, 3, and 4 for our warehouse area. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do now is hopefully share my screen, and we're going to be using Solution Link's built-in virtual keypad so you can follow along with me, and we're going to program this puppy up. So first thing we want to do is set up our common areas. So you can see out of the box, only area 1 with the 6000 can be your common area. So you can see over here in location or menu 771, we have area 1 common, and we need to, by default, is a no. So we're going to go ahead and change that a yes. Also, we need to link our other common areas to area 1. This is actually enabled by default, but I just want you to be aware of this option in case there's an area on the system that you don't want to be linked to the common area. You can just go and turn that off. So let's have a look at names. We're going to go into naming the areas. We're going to set up the common areas and reduce our entry and exit time so we're not waiting for 4 hours for this webinar to finish. So let me go along and share my screen to my virtual keypad. So hopefully you can all see my little virtual keypad over here. And what we need to do now is, I'll just go back to double check that. So we're going to be naming the areas, menu 771 linked to common area, and 211. So if we go over to the virtual keypad, and this is the virtual keypad with Solution Link, so don't worry about this too much. We're going to be going over this in detail in the next webinar, but now we want to enter our installer mode, and to do that we enter our installer code 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit the menu button. I'm going to turn the beeping off because it's going to drive us nuts. So first thing we want to do is go to 711. Whoops, no, that's right, not right. What was it? 771. So 7, you can push 771, or you can just navigate through the menus. So if you go 7, okay, system, hit okay, use the down arrows, 7 and 1. So we got area options, and over here you can see area 1 is common. So what we want to do is enable that, and to do that you've got your on and off button. So if you want to turn it on, just hit the on button. You'll see us put a tick there. If you don't need that, you can turn it off and that'll untick it. So we want to tick that and hit the OK button, and that should take us out of there. So there's a little bit of lag on here sometimes, but we'll just give that a second to think about it. Cool. And now we want to link the office area and the warehouse area to the common area. So when the office or the warehouse turns on, area 1 will follow those areas. So menu 211. Just make sure that that's saved. Yep, that's good. So if we go 2, 1, 1, we'll need to go in here and put in some descriptions. So let's do that first, actually. So if we go to area properties and then area name, okay, we want to put an area name in there. And let's say area 1, because that's going to be our entry 1. Over here, like I mentioned already, instead of using the little individual button, can be a little bit painful turning them off individually. So if you hit the off button, bloop, it'll take it all out for you and you don't have to do it individually. So area 1 is going to be our entry. So I don't know how good your old school texting skills are. Mine were pretty good, but kind of out of practice. So I'll just go ahead and put a name in here. Entry. Perfect. Okay, so that's area 1. And we'll go into area 2 now, and we'll call this office. So if we hit the off button, clears it all. Clicking, driving you nuts. Office. Yeah. Okay, office, and we'll go warehouse. Hit the off button. Yeah, I still got it. Awesome. Okay, so we've named our areas, office, entry, and warehouse. And what was it? What else did we have to do? We had to go to menu 211. We were going to link those 2 areas to the common areas. So we'll go there, go back to our keypad, go to menu 211, which is just below that. And you can see it's a little bit more, it's easier to understand what we're doing now that we have descriptions. We'll go into office area and we'll go down and make sure that that is actually ticked to link to the common area. So like I said already, this is already enabled, but if you don't have a common area or you don't want an area to be linked to the common area, you just go in there and you can hit the off button to turn that off. Cool. So what's next? Our entry exit times. We want to reduce our entry exit time so we're not waiting forever. So if we go to menu 288, if we go 288, exit time. Okay, so if we go, we don't, yeah, okay. So our entry time for our entry common area, we're going to want a short exit delay. So we'll say about 20 seconds. Oh no, we're just testing. We'll make that 0, 0, 5. Okay. And our office areas, because we're not actually arming the areas from, we don't have a keypad in that area, so we don't really need an entry and exit time in the office or the warehouse. So we'll go in there and just make that all zeros. And our entry time, so we'll go entry time 1 in the warehouse, we'll make that 0, 0, 0. Oops, entry time 1 in the office, we'll make that 0, 0, 0. And entry time for our entry will give us 5 seconds. 0, 0, 5. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the access door. So we walk up to the access door, badge it, it'll unlock our door for us, give us 5 seconds to walk in. Obviously, in a real life scenario, you'd extend that a little bit longer, but we're testing it now. 5 seconds to walk in, put in your code, and disarm the area. Piece of cake. Okay, so we've named our areas, we've linked it to our common area, linked the areas to the common area, and reduced our entry and exit times. Cool. Next thing we need to do is allocate our zones to the appropriate area. So you can see by default, all of our zones are allocated to area 1. And obviously there's a zone type which would basically tell the system of how that input is going to react when that gets triggered. So what we need to do now is we're going to go into our areas. We're going to give them, yeah, no, we're not going to name them. We'll be here all day. But if we go to our zone type and we'll give them a zone type for our zone 1 is going to be entry exit, and all the other ones will just make instance or followers. But the main thing I'm trying to get across here is our area assignment. They're all allocated to area 1, and we need to split them up. So I think it was zone 1 was your entry, 2 and 3 was your office, 3, 4, 5, 6 was going to be your warehouse. So if we go ahead over to 311 and 312, let me show you this quickly. I probably should have done this earlier, but we'll just go out of installer programming and I'll just show you what we've previously set up. So I'll just give that a second to wake up. Cool. Okay, so you can see over here we have our entry, and what we need to do now is set up so we can use the left and right arrows. So once the areas are set up, you can navigate to the areas from this keypad by using the left and the right areas to select the office or the warehouse. So you'll notice once we set up our zones, that will enable this because it's thinking all of the zones are allocated to area 1. So therefore we don't have an area 2 or 3 yet, even though we've renamed them. It kind of doesn't exist yet. So if we go into installer menu and we'll head on down to our inputs because we're programming inputs. So you can see it's really easy to navigate through the menu. You don't really need to know, okay, I'm going to menu 211 or whatever you're trying to do. Most of the time you can just browse through the menu using your up and down and find what you're trying to do. So what we're doing now is our zone properties. I'm not going to do the zone names because we'll be here forever, but we have our zone type. So we'll say zone 1, that's our entry delay. Okay, that's cool. So we'll go to our zone 2. That's a handover or a follower, so that's fine. 3, 4, and so on. So I think we're all good. Now what we want to do is allocate our zones to the areas. So if we head on over to our areas, we're going to say zone 1 is going to be our entry. So he's going to be allocated to the entry. So that's pretty logical. And then if we go to our zone 2, we want zone 2 and 3 in the office. So you can see over here, it's saying entry. We need to change that to the office area. And we can do that by putting our down arrow. Always remember to push OK. What some people do is they go in, change it to the office area. I'll just do that. I'll give you an example on zone 3. You go into zone 3, change it to the area you want, and then they hit the menu button and that doesn't save it. So you have to go in zone area assignment, zone 3, and we want that in the office. So you just go, okay, cool. And now we'll just say 4, 5, 6, and 7, we want in our warehouse area. That was 4, 5, 6, put them in the warehouse, 7, boom. Awesome. So now if we go out of installer mode, we'll just give that a second to wake up. So we've allocated our zone types. We've said zone 1 is our entry exit, and pretty much all of these are handovers or followers. And we've allocated our zones to the areas now. So we should be all good to go. And if we go out of installer mode, you can see we have entry. And now if we use our left and right arrows, you can see we have the different areas. How cool is that? Is that not, that's really easy, isn't it? Awesome. So, okay, what's next? We'll go back into installer mode and see what the next slide is. Oh, okay. So while we're talking about zones, there is obviously the ability to add RF detectors to this zone. And that's really easy. All you got to go to is menu 330, which is pretty obvious. That says add RF device. So let's just have a try and do that. So it won't let me add an RF device because I don't have one with me, and I don't have the RF receiver connected to this or enabled. But if we go into there, we can go, okay, we want to add a RF device to this. So how do we do that? Let's have a look through the menus. What do we got here? We got inputs. Okay, that sounds like what we want. RF zones. Okay. Add RF device. That sounds like what we're doing. Pick your zone. So if we say, okay, we're going to put an RF device on zone number 1, hit the OK button. It's saying no RF receiver fitted, but if it did, we could just tamper the detector. That would learn that RF ID into the system, and it's easy as that. And then all of the zone area properties and area allocations and zone types is exactly what we just covered. So really easy. Yeah, there's also an option to test the RF device. So if you think, hey, there's pretty bad reception down there, or we don't have a big, strong enough RF signal, you can go to test the RF device in 332 and just tamper the detector or walk in front of it. That'll send a signal to the panel, and it will come up and say signal is good, bad, or excellent, or whatever it says. Okay, now we need to set up our users. So we've set up our areas, we've linked our common areas, so that's all done. Now we need to say, who has access to these areas? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through our users. We're going to program Vicky, Tammy, and JT. We're going to program some codes in there for them. And we're going to allocate them to the area. So you can see on the right-hand side over here, give access to areas 141. We're not actually allocating these guys to the common area because the common area is going to follow the warehouse and the office. So we don't actually want them to arm and disarm the common area individually because that's going to do it automatically for us. So the common area relates to the areas, not a user. So let's go ahead, and first thing we'll do is give them a, we'll program their name and their user code. So if we head on over to our keypad, and what are we trying to do here? So if we go, we want to program some users. So, okay, that'll be under access. So if we go into access, pin codes, that sounds like what we need. We're going to pin codes. Oh, I think we're jammed up. Just give that a second to load. Sorry, guys, it does it sometimes. Come on, little buffer. Okay, here we go. It's kind of thinking about it. So yeah, we want to go into access. We won't do pin codes just yet. There's user properties, and then we'll add some usernames. So remember, user 1 is going to be Vicky because she's the big boss, and she has access to all areas. So if we go in here and, oh, gee, where was V in this? I think it was in there. Yeah, there it is. I'm good. Okay, Vicky, Tammy, hit the off button. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's user 2, and we'll go ahead and put JT in there. Hit the off button. Where was J? Where was J? Oh, there he is. Okay, cool. So we'll do JT. Cool. Okay, so we've added our names, and we want to do our area assignment while we're here. We might as well do that. So if we go down to area assignment, so remember Vicky is the master code. She wants access to all areas. So the area is going to automatically arm and disarm, so we don't need to worry about that one, but we'll go office and warehouse. So you can see we've given her access to the office and the warehouse, which is perfect. And we'll go into Tammy. She's only going to have access to the office. Oh. Whoa, okay, sorry, I lost these options. Where did the area assignment go? User properties. Oh, access, user properties, user options. Oh, why's my keypad spazzing out? Let me go back. I'll just double check and make sure I'm doing this right. 414, okay. Four. Oh, 141. Oh man. 1 4. I don't have our options in there. 1 4. Why is that not letting us do that? Okay, well, let's add their user codes. We'll come back to that one. So change. So we're over here, because user 1 already exists, we're not going to be able to add a pin to user 1. We need to change that pin. So because we're logged in as in installer mode, we can change other pin. So we can do whatever we want. So over here, you can see Vicky, and we're going to make her 1397. Okay. Now we can add a pin for user Tammy. We're going to make her 1398. And JT will make him 1399. Hit the OK button. So let's have a look at our area options again. What's happening there? So if we go to user properties, area assignment, why wasn't that there before? Am I going mad? There was definitely not a 141. Rewind and double check that for me. So Tammy, we want access to Office, so we're going to turn off the entry, hit the on button for OK. So she's only got access to the office area, and JT, he works in the warehouse, so we're going to turn on for the warehouse. And it's that easy. Piece of cake. What's next? Go back to our slides and share. So we've done that. There is also user options, and you can have more master users if you want. You can just go into the user options and tick the master user. You can also say ARM only, yes or no. Auto bypass, there's a few other useful options in there. We'll get into the access control stuff next, but let's just give you a little demo of what we've done here. So if we just wait for that to wake up, and I'll go and share. No, I won't do that just yet. So let me just wait for this configuring, please wait. Awesome. So you can see entry. We've got entry, input buffer. Sorry, guys, I'll just wait. It does this sometimes. Come on. Let's give that a second to catch up. Here we go. All right. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can see we got entry, office, and warehouse. And let's say we're in the office and Tammy's going home. So if we go 1398, I think was her code, hit the on button. So because we have a few faults in the system that I haven't cleared yet, we'll just quickly skip through all of these. And you can see goodbye, Tammy, and it's turned on the office area. So you can see the entry is still disabled because that's our common area. And that will only turn on if we go into our warehouse and we turn that on with JT's code 1399, hit the on button, and we'll just force arm all these troubles. And the warehouse is on, the office is on, and the entry is on. So that's perfect. That's working exactly what we wanted to do. So now JT comes in the morning because he always starts it's really early in the morning. So if we go 1399 off, you could see that says good morning, JT, warehouse is off. And once that wakes up, we can go to the warehouse, and the entry is also disarmed. So just to give you another example, I'm going to close this virtual keypad. Oh, hello, everyone. We'll do this and we'll go to our solution link. And like I've said already, we're not going to worry about too much at the moment, because in our next webinar, we're going to be going over most things in detail. But we got this little option in here called interactive. And this is just a good overview of the system. So you can see what's going on. So it hasn't updated my names yet because I've been programming it through the keypad, and I need to receive the program first. So I'm not going to do that now because it can take a while, but this are our areas 1, 2, and 3. So we got our entry, office, and warehouse. So over here, you can see the office in area 2. If Tammy goes home, she turns it on, that arms the system, and then JT goes home. And once he arms that, we'll see area 1 turn on to follow these 2 areas that are armed as well. So if we do that, boom, there you go, they're all on. Awesome. And that's given me my 5-second exit delay for our entry area, because that's our main entry and exit. And then JT rocks up and he turns the system off in the morning, disarms the system, and the area will also follow, well, the common area will follow the warehouse. So that's perfect. That's working exactly what we were doing, exactly what we wanted to do. Beauty. So if we go back to our slides now. Oh no, wait, let me go back because that can cause a bit of lag. Okay, so we've programmed our areas, we've programmed our users, and we've programmed our zones, and that's all up and running. It's really easy. Now let's have a look at our access control. So we're going to be programming up our access door in the front door. So you walk up to it, you badge it, it's going to unlock the door, allowing us to walk into the keypad and arm and disarm our areas, which we've just set up. So with the Solution 6000, it's a little bit different to other panels where they would include a little door controller, and everything that relates to that door is on that door controller, like your reader, your MREX, your ProRex, your door read, your relay for your power. It's all in that one spot. But with the 6000, it's a little bit different. You have your, you use your inputs and outputs. So you can have an input from this expander, an output on that expander, and then you allocate them all to the same door. And that's what ties it all together. So you have your output allocated to a door, your user allocated to a door, your input for your MREX or ProRex allocated to a door, and your reader you allocated to a door. So with everything you allocated to the door number 1 or door number 2, and it all ties it all together that way. So it's really easy. So let's have a look. So we can see over here, which I pretty just mentioned, to make up a door that's made up of a user, an output controlling our lock, our area. We could also have the door following an area, which we're going to do later. We're going to say, we're going to use the door to validate the area. So the door will only unlock if the area is disarmed. So you walk up to it, you badge it, it'll unlock for 10 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever you programmed, and then it will relock it again. But if you disarm the area, the door is going to unlock to follow the area. So if it's on a time schedule or something like that, if no one has arrived to work yet, you don't want the door to automatically unlock on a public holiday. If you're blonde like me, you get your dates wrong and you program your public holidays wrong, and then the door unlocks on those days. It's a bad idea. So that's why I prefer to have the door validate the area. So if the area is unlocked, then it will only unlock the door, if that makes sense. So your time zones, as I've just mentioned, you can have a time zone like a unlock at 7 in the morning and lock again at 5 in the evening, and also have your public holidays. Your input for your MREX and ProRex, so that's like your touch to exits. So that goes into a zone. You allocate that zone to a door. As soon as that zone will toggle, it'll unlock your door for you. Easy. And then you allocate the reader to a door as well. So let's go ahead and do that. But before we do that, see if you can see this. So next to me, I've got my little reader, which I haven't enabled yet, and I've got my keypad next to me. And let's have a little bit of a talk about LAN secure and LAN scanning. So if a LAN network is secure, this will prevent the system detecting additional devices. and we need to do a LAN scan. This system allows the installer to rescan a non-secured LAN when adding or removing LAN expansion devices, for example, keypads, expanders, or output modules. So what we're going to do now, we're adding a new module onto the system, which is our reader. And I'm just going to power it up. So give me a second to just put my little positive into the terminal. That's powered up my reader, and you can see it's not online yet because it's flashing red and green. So that indicates it has power, obviously, but it's not, it hasn't been enrolled onto the system, or you've wired it wrong. So I know I've wired it right. And now we need to say, okay, we've allocated this reader to the system. So we need to go ahead and just confirm that our LAN is unsecure, because that needs to be unsecure so we can do a LAN scan, and the system is going to go out and detect our new devices that we've added onto the system. So if we head on over back to our solution link. Oh, that's not right. That's not the right window. Sorry. This one, and we'll go to our keypad, and I think I need to share that again because that's a whole new window. There you go. Hopefully I didn't screw that up. Okay, cool. So now we need to go into installer mode, 1, 2, 3, 4 menu, and we go to menu 601, I think it was 601. So you can see LAN is not secured. Okay, so if you, at the end of your installation, everything's up and running, what you want to do is go ahead and turn that on. Okay, but we'll leave that off for the moment because we're going to do a LAN scan. So if we go menu to go back a step, you can see down the bottom here, we have an option menu 602, and we can go ahead and scan that. So it says LAN scan has been requested. This will end your login session. So once that kicks us out of there, you'll see the LED. Let me go back to, I'll go back to, okay, never mind. Let me stop sharing that. So there, so you can see my keypad, or not my keypad, my reader now has gone from flashing red and green to green. So that means it's online and it's up and running. So that's perfect. Okay, so we've got our reader online. Now what we're going to do next is talk about some outputs. So very similar to all of the Bosch panels, they have some default output configurations. So we'll just quickly go over them. Our output 1 is our default external siren driver. So if you have an external siren with a horn on it, you have to connect it to output 1 because that's the only one that supports the horn driver. Output 2 is your strobe flash for your external flashing siren and also arming and disarming indication. 3 is your smoke sensor power for your latching smoke detectors. 4 is your internal siren, and 5 is our onboard relay. And by default, that is programmed for a key fob function number 2 on your remote. So if you add a remote to the system, by default, that will trigger output 5 for your garage door or front gate or something like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to repurpose that output 5 for our access control on our door. So we're going to be going ahead and programming that. So for our programming for our door, there's a few things we need to do. We're going to go ahead and give it a name. Our events type, we need to say that this output now is a door. So that's our event type 60, which means it's a door. Event assignment is your door number. So that would be, because remember, we can have 16 16 access doors on the system. So if you're using access door number 3, you'd say, or door number 3, you put event assignment 3. That means that this output is allocated to door number 3, if that makes sense. Output polarity, 4 open, 1 shut low. That's basically a pulse, or it's going to unlock for 10 seconds. Yeah, so the polarity is depends on the type of lock that you're using. So that's either going to be power to lock or power to unlock. So just bear in mind what kind of lock you need. If it's a mag lock or a strike lock or a mortise or whatever you want to do, it'll have a different polarity. And then you have your time parameters, which specifies how long your door is going to unlock for. So let's go ahead and do that. If we go back and share my keypad, and we'll go into installer mode. I'm going to turn off the beeps, and we go down to, what do you think we need to go? What are we programming? Outputs. Oh, yep, there's our outputs. Okay, we'll go to outputs and properties. That sounds like what we need. Output name. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and program our output. It's not our, well, it is our onboard relay, but we're actually going to be using that as our entry door. I'll just call it entry for now. So we've given it a name, and now event type. So out of the box, output 5 entry is a key fob function 2. So we want to make it a door. So we go down to number 60, which specifies door. So we can say, okay, our output's a door now. And our event assignment, we're going to say door number 1. So by default, all doors are allocated. That's handy for like a fire drop or something like that. You could run your power going to all of your relays for your mags or something like that. So this can be your fire drop. But we have a few options here, like door number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So we only have one door, obviously. So we're going to go ahead and say door number 1. Oh, I think I jumped around a little bit too much. Event assignment, we've done that. Output polarity, we'll leave that the same because that's going to be the same, normally open, 1 shot low, same as your garage door, but we're going to want to extend the time. So 2 seconds isn't enough to get through the door, I think. We'll go ahead and make that 10 seconds. Cool. So that's all good. So we've allocated our output to the door. Next thing we want to do is assign the reader that we've just added onto our system to the door. So just a little note on that. On the back of the reader, it's got a address dip switch on there. So you can see I've allocated that to number 2. So we're going to be using device number 2, or reader number 2. We're going to allocate that to door number 1 in menu 617. So if we go on over back to our keypad, and we'll go down to devices, keypads and readers. Name, do we need to give it a name? LR2. So all of our readers come up as an LR. So we'll go in there, we'll give that a entry. Cool. Okay, and now we need to say what door is this reader controlling, or what door is this allocated to? So in here, there should be an option somewhere called door assignment. There you go. And we're going to say this reader, our entry reader, by default, it has no door assignment. We're going to go ahead and assign that to, just waiting for this to catch up. So we can use our up and down arrows to allocate that to door number 1. So we'll just wait for our buffer to do its thing. We'll just see what we're doing next. So, yeah, so once we've done that, for this exercise, we don't want reader area control. So, I mean, you can use that if you want to, but I thought that would, there's a few steps that I wanted to show you that I thought was quite important. So what we've got here in our office, we rock up in the morning, we badge it at the front door, it disarms the area, and then that door follows the area. So that if the area is disarmed, the door unlocks. So you walk up in the morning, you badge it, it unlocks, the area unlocks, and on the way out, you badge it once. So you can also program it to triple badge. And then once the area is armed, the door will lock following that as well. So we don't really want that for this exercise. So we need to go to menu 614, and there's a little option in here called reader area control. Yes, so we want to turn that off. So if we go back to our keypad now, it should hopefully be awake. Door assignment, I'll just go in there and make sure that it's saved that. No door, okay, we want that to be door number 1. Okay, cool. So what was that menu? 614, sorry about that. Okay, let's go back to my keypad, 614. So if we go 61, general options, and then we're going to pick our reader. So we're going to say this reader, we don't want you to control our area. Reader area control, you can see it's got a tick in there, and we'll just go ahead and untick that. Hit the OK button to save, and we should be all good to go. Before I exit, the next step is we need to add a user. So by default, no one has access to any doors. So what we're going to do now is we've got my little access tag that comes included with your Prox keypad, and we're going to allocate this access card to Vicky, and we're going to give her access to door number 1. Obviously, if there was more users like Tammy or JT, you'd have to learn these against them as well, and then allocate them to the same door. So let's go ahead and do that. If we go to back to our keypad, and we'll go to our menu. We won't exit just yet, and let's go, what are we looking for? So let's go into access. Oh, I clicked that a few too many times. Access, and we're going to go, where are we going to go? Token. Okay, we'll go token, and we want to add a token. So we're going to add, and we want to allocate this token to Vicky. So we'll select Vicky, and it'll say to add a token, present now. So with the PR220s, which is the standard keypad that comes included with all of your 6000s now, it's got a built-in prox. So if you're adding a token through the keypad, all you can do is just go ahead and present that at the keypad, and it doesn't update on the display that I'm looking at, but it does actually update on the this filter, you know what I mean. So if we hit the back button, the OK button, and the buffer's loading again. Let's give that a second to wake up. Oh, buffer. There we go. Token. So if we go to so now we've allocated this to Vicky, and there's another little option in here called token status. So if you're walking around, you pick up one of these and you go, oh, who does that belong to? You can go down to token status, and it'll say present token to be identified. So if you take it to your keypad and do that, it actually comes up and says allocated to Vicky. Looks like this virtual keypad doesn't support that, but I think we're all good to go. So next thing we need to do, so we've added our token to Vicky, or our access card to Vicky. Now we're going to say that Vicky, you need access to door number 1. So that'll be under, oh, excuse me, the buffer's playing up again. So we've added the token to Vicky, and now in the access and user properties, you can see door properties. This is where you go ahead and just tick the doors that every user should have access to. Really easy. Come on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that because that's playing up. Go back to my, do you want to reconnect? Okay, it looks like I've disconnected. Okay, sorry, just give me a second, guys. I'll just go ahead and reconnect to my panel because it looks like it's disconnected for some reason. So hopefully it'll come back on. Just give a sec. Here we go, checking panel type. Okay, we're good to go. So All right, so if I open up my keypad again, and I'll just go back to my Zoom. Where did it go? Ooh. This is the problem doing this live. It never goes to plan. So just bear with me, guys. Sorry. So I forgot what we were doing. Oh, we were going to allocate Vicky to door number 1. So if we go into installer menu, turn the beeps off, we're going to go to access and user properties. So if we go down to user properties, and in here, there should be an option here called door assignments. There it is. Hit the OK button. We're going to say, Vicky, okay, we want you to have access to door number 1. Okay. Same thing applies with Tammy. If we go to Tammy, we can go in there and we can say door number 1, door number 2, or however many doors, but you can just tick and untick to give them the appropriate access. Okay, so let's go out of installer mode and we'll test it at our reader and we'll just make sure that that triggers our relay. So we'll give that a second to think about it. And I'm going to close my virtual keypad and go back to my solution link. And I'll just give you a, is that sharing the right window? Yes, I'll just make sure that that's sharing. So hopefully this is sharing the solution link window because I can't actually see. But if we go to interactive, we got our door over here and you can see our door is locked. So I'm going to take you to my reader and I'm going to badge at the reader. Door is unlocked, and in about 10 seconds time, that will automatically lock or lock again. So there you go, locked. So cool, that's working perfect. But just remember earlier I said we want the door to follow the area. So when you can badge, unlock the door, put in your code, then the door follows the area and unlocks if the area is unset. And to do that, we need to stop sharing this screen. Oops, sorry, I closed the wrong one. We'll go back to our, open up our keypad again. And what we need to do is change our time zone or our schedule for our lock, because at the moment, it's going to be locked 24/7. So if I go share my keypad, hit the share button, and we need to go into installer mode. Turn off the beeps. And let me just double check what the menu was for that. So that's a menu, no, that's a menu 145. No, okay, it's not in there. I'll need to find it. So that'll be a, we'll go into outputs and door properties. And then in here we'll have unlock time. So there you go. See how easy it is to navigate. I didn't even know where that was when I found it. So unlock time zone, door number 1, and it's got no time zone. So disabled. So it's going to be locked 24/7. So we're going to change this to 24-hour time zone, hit the OK button, and exit the installer programming. And if I close my keypad, I'll just give it a second to wake up. Okay, and I'll go back to my solution link, share, and I'll go to my interactive and go to my door on the side here. Hopefully I'm sharing the right window. I'll just double check that. Share. Okay, cool. So we've got our door, it's open. So if I go ahead and I go to the keypad and I'll put in Vicky's code, 1397, and I'll push the on button and I'll force that on, the door will lock. Cool. So the door's locked. I turn up in the morning and I want to get into the building. I badge at the reader. The door unlocks. And then I walk up to the keypad. I'll just wait for that to unlock. Relock. There you go. It's locked again. And then Vicky puts in her code, 1397, hits the off button, turns off the areas, and the door follows the area and unlocks. Easy. Cool. Okay, so remember earlier in the presentation, we spoke about the dialer and disabling the dialer and stuff for your default faults that we're not using. So if you obviously are using or want to have this system monitored through your phone line or a permacon or something like that, you have to go back and obviously turn the dialer back on and display telephone line fail, because it's kind of important that we need that. And then if we go into menu 511, we can put in our phone number in there, and each individual area can have its own individual account number. So you can see over here a menu 220 account destination 1 account number. So let's go ahead and do that now. If we go back to share, I might have to open my keypad again. Sorry, let me close this. And I'll go open up my keypad and I'll go ahead and share that for you. So what we're going to do now is go to 511 for our telephone numbers, and then 220. So if we go installer code 1234, turn the default 511. I'll just show you that again. So if you go 51, it's telephone numbers. 1, you can have a number prefix for like an old school PABX, push 1 or dial 0 to or 9 to get an external line. You'd have to program that in there first, like back in the days, but we're going to not worry about that. Destination 1 would be our receiver phone number, and we can just say, I don't know, if you've got a permacon in there, just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hit OK. By default, the 24-hour test is enabled, but the time is 2 a.m. in the morning. So it's probably a good idea you go and change that to something so not all of the panels communicate at the same time and flood the monitoring center. Then our account numbers, they refer to each area. So if we go into our areas menu and we'll go to reporting, and in there you can see account destination 1, and you can just give each area an individual account name. We won't worry about that for the moment. So just go 6, 7, 8, 9 or whatever your account number is, hit the OK button, and that's it. Piece of cake. What else? Time zones, also known as schedules, they can be allocated to a whole bunch of things like areas to automatically arm and disarm, users to give them own access only between certain hours, door open times to lock and unlock, and to trigger output. So you could say at a certain time on these days, turn on that output. You could use that for like an outside light, or your class change bells, your sprinklers if you want to get fancy. You could do all sorts of stuff, so it's pretty cool. And that's all. So I think that pretty much covers it. Hopefully that you guys found that useful. This was only the tip of the iceberg from what you can do with the 6000, but this should give you a pretty good understanding of a basic installation on how to program areas and users and access doors. So I think we'll leave that at that for now. So yeah, next week we'll be going over the solution link and setting up the app with my alarms. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out for the link and register. And I think that'll be on Thursday. So I'll see you all next time. Thank you, everyone. See you later.